people aren't going to take this video seriously. It's all because of the band-aid on my nose. And you know what? Here's the little secret for those of you that want to know, because everyone's curious if I hurt myself. And yes, I did. I shaved. And yes, I have to shave my nose, because screw my genetics. Do you look at, like, a weird blemish on my face? Or do you look at a band-aid and assume, yeah, I'm a badass. Totally didn't hurt myself while shaving. But heyo guys, my name is BetaEtaDelota, and today I kinda wanted to tell a story. It's why I love the furry fandom, not the only reason. There are tons of reasons why I love furries and the fandom and why I'm still here right now. But this story that I kinda decided that I'd tell, it kinda brings things into perspective of the community that we built, and just the overall willingness to be giving and charitable and generous. Like, very generous. Why are people so nice? I still don't get that. Now this whole thing starts off with someone randomly tagging me in an art piece on Twitter. A fun little thing that people like to do is tag me in art posts relating to life jacket art, or furry life jacket art, or just the life jacket squad in general. Makes perfect sense. Now the life jacket design I have isn't my design, it's just something I kind of came up with which works the best for me, and also brings out a lot of the colors and the vibrancy and the buoyancy, most importantly. And I don't own it, other people can use it in their art. I can't copyright a design, or at least I don't think. I don't care enough to copyright my own design. You can throw your Sona in a life jacket, and that's what people have done. And this was back in like September of last year, so it's hard to remember. This was when I was trying to graduate. But one random tag caught my attention on Twitter, and it was just an art piece of some kid who drew art of their Protogen in a life jacket. And I don't have the art to show for specific reasons which we'll discuss later on. And at the time, I thought it was pretty cute. Just a blue Protogen chilling in a blue life jacket. From there, I went to check out their account, which you can clearly tell they're a fan of what I do. I'm flattered, and it's very sweet of them to do that. Now, most of the art posted from the individual known as Synth was from requests that he got from artists on Furry Amino and little pieces he would make for himself. He was an artist that was starting out in the fandom, I respect that. And again, I don't really have any reference images to prove it, just the profile screenshot from a while back. So I did a bit more digging into this. Something seemed a bit off-putting about the whole thing, specifically with the design of the Protogen and the life jacket art that they've gotten of him. And I found that they were using this art piece as their Fursona reference sheet, which just so happens to be the same art that I commissioned for one of my patrons, Mal the Protogen. Now for reference, a little while back I had a tier on my Patreon where if you donated for 2 months or something, I'd commission an art piece of your Fursona in a life jacket if you wanted. I generally commissioned the same artist who did my old character stills, Ectodrool, for the same life jacket art pieces. Now that reward isn't available anymore for multiple reasons, but the patrons that did donate and who were very generous got the life jacket art pieces. It was the first time a Protogen was put in a life jacket, so hey, you know what, I'm happy about that, but art gets around. And I'm also assuming that Synth, since he was from Furry Amino, found these art pieces randomly posted and just was like, oh, this doesn't belong to anyone, I'm gonna take it. The point of this whole thing is that Synth made the Protogen his own and got art and made art based on it. He kind of grew the Fursona as his own on his old profile. Now at the time I'm assuming, because, you know, his profile, that he was a kid and didn't really know what was going on and was new to the fandom and just didn't know that this was a really bad thing. So what I ended up doing is I messaged Mal about this whole thing, being like, is this you? Is this something you know about? And they weren't happy about it. They were kind of fuming. They were about to go off because they just got home from work and saw that some kid was stealing their Protogen design, and it's like, oh, stealing my Fursona and making art of it? Like, oh, I can understand the pain with that. So I was like, Mal, I'll talk to the kid first. I'll let him know what's happening. I'll let him know, you know, that this is not a good thing, because I'm assuming he doesn't know. Even though it wasn't really my problem, I still wanted to help a little bit. Even though I was already dealing with linear algebra and diffie-Qs and advanced thermodynamics, I was trying to graduate. So I immediately went to message Synth while Mal cooled down a bit. Now I did the best I could with being blunt and being nice, and I could have changed things up a bit differently, but I'll read exactly what I messaged them, which I happen to have transcribed for Mal. Unfortunately, I couldn't get any of the DMs or messages from Synth's profile because that original profile was taken down. So here's what I ended up messaging Synth for the first message. Hey, this is Beta. I'm gonna be as nice as possible about this, but you're using one of my patrons' Protogen designs as your Fursona. I know this because I commissioned that life jacket piece for them. You've even been using it as a reference sheet for your character, so that's what gave it away. I just checked in with my patron and they're not happy with you stealing their design. I'm not happy about it either. I appreciate the Life Jacket Squad and support, but I don't support you stealing Mal's Sona. If you could kindly remove whatever of Mal's Sona art you have off your profile and try to find a new Protogen Sona or design, that is probably the best case scenario from this situation. Trust me, I don't want to push this any further or deal with this as much as I have to, but it needs to be fixed. I'm sorry if I sounded mean, but you need to fix this. Thank you. And again, I could have been a bit nicer, a bit more concise, and not as blunt about it, but I kind of wanted to get the point across that it was something that shouldn't be done and it needs to be fixed. After this, Synth ended up messaging me saying that they were a bit sad or upset about this and they didn't know what to do. They were kind of scared. They ended up blacking out their profile and doing all this stuff. It's not that they responded ignorantly or badly, it's just they were mainly scared of what to do. They were like, oh god, this is a bad thing, I don't know how to handle this. Now unfortunately, I wasn't in the right headspace to really handle this either, so I kind of took a step back and I told Mal, look, I let the kid know, please help him a little bit, do what you can, just don't go off on him, he knows what he did was wrong. And after that, I just kind of dropped the whole thing and let Mal handle it. Because even though it was the whole Life Jacket Squad thing that kind of inspired this to happen and I was semi-involved in it, ultimately it's not my own Fursona, so Mal kind of handled the rest of it. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I hope for the best with the whole thing. But I learned about what happened 2 months later, when randomly I was tagged in another art post. In the span of a month or so, Mal and another individual helped Synth get another Protogen design all set up and commissioned an artist to get a good reference of their new Protogen. And this is literally the art piece of the new Fursona that Mal and this other individual commissioned for him. So when I saw it, it all kind of just sunk in of like, wow, people are so nice. So nice and so forgiving. Like, this was a situation where Mal could have just been like, just take the art off, just get a new Fursona, that's it. They went above and beyond with this and helped Synth get a brand new Protogen design. All with the life jacket, all from an artist, and they commissioned the art. It literally went from, I didn't know what was happening, or I didn't know what was gonna happen, to literally the best case scenario. This is like, I wouldn't expect this sort of thing to happen, but again, I underestimate the furry fandom greatly. From what Mal's told me, Synth is still doing well and he still has the Fursona, and honestly, that's all I want at the end of the day. I'm so happy that it was handled like the best possible way. Because I've heard like all these horror stories of like kids getting canceled because they just don't know about a certain thing, or even if they're not acting ignorant and being like, no, this is mine, you can't tell me what to do. Just like crucified for, you know, doing something they don't know about. And they don't know how to handle the negative reactions, so they usually either leave the fandom or they deactivate their account or something bad happens. The fandom, from what I know, honestly just so giving and charitable. Like everyone's just so helpful and so willing to give, and this was an example of it. I guess some lessons to take from this whole thing, even though it's kind of vague on, you know, my end of what happened in the process of making the Fursona or how things worked out. I guess one thing to take in mind is a lot of what I said from my Young Furries video that I did a while back. Young Furries are kind of the future of the fandom, and acting rashly and making, you know, call-outs about something that they might do that they might not know is wrong doesn't really help them. And when he was confronted with the issue that this was a big thing, he was scared, and according to Mal, he wanted to leave a couple of times. He was worried of the backlash and it being made public and, you know, the mistake being unforgivable to the extent that, like, he would have to leave the fandom. Even though it's a minor issue, to a lot of younger furries, it might be a big issue, and it might be the only thing that makes or breaks them even staying in the fandom. But it was thanks to Mal that Synth is still in the fandom and remained all throughout that process. So I guess that's kind of the big lesson out of all this. Keep that in mind for a lot of the younger individuals in this fandom, which is a lot more than people think. And just seeing the final result of what happened here, it made me hopeful. And I'm really proud of this community. I know it can seem like all the negatives might outweigh the positives, but use this video and use this story as a reminder that the furry fandom really is good, and the people in it really are genuine and nice and want the best of everyone. If you want me to do more of these off-the-cuff, off-the-script videos like I'm kind of doing right now, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your feedback on this sort of thing. I also want to give a very big thank you to Mal for helping me with this video and allowing me to use a lot of the conversation they and I had. Now, from the bottom of my heart, to both Mal and Synth, thank you for being you. Have an awesome day as always, and stay life jacket. Banana bread. Ooh, I'm happy. I'm a happy wagon.
Learned. Okay, what is this? Okay, so that's armor, backpack,
I keep
headlight. Oh,
having
we
trouble
can make
flying.
a headlight.
It's having trouble.
What? What? Are
I
you
think
dead?
What? JFet, come here.
Oh no! Okay, let me get some food real quick.
Um,
Alright, I'm coming.